Making a difference. It's at the heart of Southern Inspirations. I believe we all have opportunities every day to make a difference. In our homes, our local communities, everywhere we live, work, and play. Let's dive right into today's Making a Difference conversation. Good morning, everyone. I am Michelle Hill with Southern Inspirations. Welcome to today's Making a Difference episode. I'm very grateful and humbled and honored to have my three guests today. And I'm going to go ahead and pull them in because it's three guys that you guys are going to want to meet and hear from on an incredibly important topic. So we've got James, and James, I said before we went live that I wanted to practice the pronunciation of y'all's names, and I didn't do that. So I'm going to try it, okay? James Scavone.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, good. All right. And I have Sean Connelly, which is Sean, I think I can get the pronunciation of yours all right. So welcome. And then we have Michael Savoli.
Perfect.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. Well, guys, good morning and happy Friday. And thank you for your willingness to join me this morning to talk about mental health awareness, suicide prevention. We are going to dive into so many fabulous topics today. And there's a part of me, generally, guys, just being completely transparent, a big part of my opener is I share my excitement. Like, I'm excited about today's topic. And there's that part of me that just feels weird. So, does that make sense? Like, I feel almost strange saying I'm excited, but I am pleased. I'm very pleased to come alongside you guys and help you spread awareness today.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you having us on.
You're so happy. Oh, well, it's all I can do to just contain myself because it's such a topic that has got to be covered over and over and over again. So we are going to dive right in. And guys, I want to start with each of you introducing yourselves. You are a part of the Nicholas, is it Negron? Did I say that right? Okay, good. I didn't practice that one either. The Nicholas Negron Mental Health Foundation based in New Jersey. Mahwah,
New Jersey.
Okay, Mahwah, New Jersey. And so I want each of you to take a moment to introduce yourselves. I want to just bring each of you up. And then we'll go from there. So, Sean, we're going to start with you.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Sean Connelly. I'm in my last semester at Ramapo College of New Jersey. And throughout the years, with the passing of our friend Nicholas Negron, I've become very passionate in mental health and mental health awareness. And I just deem it to be critically important in just our conversations and our average discourse, just talking about the need for bringing our school systems, our homes, our workplace, and just talking about it and just making it a comfortable conversation to have with people. And because the majority of our population suffers from various mental health conditions like depression, anxiety. And that's what makes it so important just to talk about it and to get people to understand that it's okay and valid to have these feelings. Just open up and let people know that you're there.
Thank you so much. That is so true. It's more rampant, I think, than we realize, or here's key, than we probably want to admit. And so the more we talk about it, the more it seems to become okay and not that stigma. So thank you for that. And we are going to dive into that. James, tell us a little bit about yourself.
How you guys doing? My name is James Scavone. I co-founded the Nicholas Negron Mental Health Foundation with a bunch of my friends after our friend Nicholas passed away due to suicide. I was not really passionate about mental health at all until our friend passed away. And then kind of once that happened, I realized that way too often it's happening. It happens globally, it happens often in our country, and especially in our area of New Jersey, it keeps happening. So we wanted to know what we could do to help. And we also wanted to kind of direct the funds and direct awareness and direct education kind of ourselves, so we know where the money's going. So that's why we started our own foundation. I think it's been great so far. We've had great support, and really we just want to end the stigma around mental health. So many people have it, like Sean was saying. So many people suffer from it, and still it's hard to talk about. Like you said at the beginning, it's hard to say you're excited to talk about mental health. It's National Suicide Awareness Month, and more people are talking about it than ever before, I'd say, but still more needs to be done. People need to understand that having a mental health issue is like having a broken arm, and they can go and seek help for it. If the first option does not work, maybe the second or third will. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, so we're just trying to spread that message.
James, that's so true, and that reminds me of a conversation that I had with Mary Meacham earlier this week, whose son took his life in 2010, and she gave the example of high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, or any of these other diagnoses that any of us can get. We seem to huddle around each other, so to speak, and love on and support each other with those diagnoses. But you let someone get diagnosed with a mental health condition, and we want to kind of shy away a little bit. So thank you again for just your heart and your part in this foundation and beyond to continue to break down that stigma.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, Michael. Hold on just a second. I hit a wrong button over here. Let me get back down.
Your time. It's okay.
Michael's information, and I moved it. All right, here we go.
Hi, my name is Michael 𝗧𝗛𝗘𝗘𝗚. I'm the social media manager and the treasurer for the foundation. Kind of correlates to what I did at Fairfield University. I studied marketing and finance. I became passionate with mental health the same way my friends have after the recent passing of our best friend Nicholas. I realized after doing a lot of research and studying that talking about mental health within our current generation is considered taboo, and we made it our mission to end that stigma, as they've previously stated, because talking about it is the first step, and it's the biggest step you can take into the recovery process. So we want to end that stigma through events, giving people resources, maybe even talking to us too as well. We're always there for people. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you again as well, Michael. I posted your quote earlier this week about that, and just the word taboo. It's so true. It falls right into stigma. It's just one of those things that for years has been hush hush. And, even this week, as my focus as a company and a platform has been on this topic, I've paused in moments just to kind of check myself from a perspective of self-care. Just, am I taking care of my mind? We're all called to take care of our bodies, obviously, but we need to take care of our minds too. And again, continue to break down those causes of what causes the stigma. Exactly. So thank you again as well. So before we move forward, guys, I want to take just a second to welcome our guests. We've had several folks that have joined, so thank you so much. Would you please drop a comment? We need the engagement. We want the engagement. Say good morning to us. If you are watching in the Making a Difference group, you needed to have given permission via StreamYard to be able to comment so that we can see that. So take care of that real quick. But even if it's just good morning, show us some love and let us know that you're watching. And again, we really appreciate that. So guys, we mentioned the word stigma several times in those introductions. And that's the first thing that we want to talk about. Before I pop that up there and before we get into that, I do want to go ahead and put the website up. I'm going to leave that run the entire broadcast, because if folks watching want to know more information and want to dive deeper beyond this broadcast, I want everyone to know. So there's the website, the nnmhf.org. So y'all be sure and take a note of that. I also will mention, lastly, before we move forward, in addition, audience, to dropping a comment, please let us know as well if you have any questions or if you would like additional information. This is not just to get on here and talk about it, right? We do want to talk about it. We keep saying that. We do want to drive awareness, but we also want you to know that these guys, as well as multiple foundations across the world, are here to help. If you know someone that is considering suicide, having suicidal thoughts, I just want to get that point across. All right. So let's talk about the stigma surrounding mental health. And Michael, I'm going to go ahead and start with you if you don't mind. What in the world, why do you think, Michael, that we've talked about it a little bit, the taboo, why in the world do we shy away from those conversations? Do we think it's an attack on our character, or what do you think?
I feel it's more of a vulnerability thing, where talking about your own mental health shows signs of weakness, apparently from what pre-established societal norms made it out to be, which is far from the case. I think talking about your mental health and opening yourself up, which in essence makes you vulnerable, I think that makes you more powerful, if anything.
Yeah. Michael, I mean, James, Sean, what do y'all say to that? You agree?
I 100% agree with Michael. I think since it is a mental illness and all of your thoughts take place in your mind, when you talk about how you're not feeling well in your mind, like Michael said, you do feel vulnerable. And people have been feeling vulnerable talking about mental health for basically all of human existence. Now I feel like slowly it's making a change. More and more I see people posting about it on social media. More and more I hear people talking about depression, mental health in their normal conversations. So we hope that one day we can get to the point where people can talk about their mental health and it does empower them and they say, listen, I have been struggling with depression. I have sought help before and finally I've gotten some results from it, because there are so many options and there are so many medications. There are so many different ways that we can better someone's mental health issues. And when someone is struggling with a mental health issue, they don't tend to see that often. So we try to let people know that, like there always is a light at the end of the tunnel and that it can get better.
Yeah. That reminds me of another comment that Mary made during our broadcast, was that when individuals get to the point in their lives, they're so depressed or they're so down and out that they do decide to take their own lives. They truly feel like there's no other way out. And you use that phrase, light at the end of the tunnel, a couple times. And I think that's key, James, because would y'all agree, and I know you walked through this with Nick, did he feel that there was no way out? Do you think that, because I had to kind of wrap my mind around that, and I bring that up because I've heard people say here and there over the years about individuals who take their own lives that they're selfish, that they were not thinking about anyone else. And so Mary and I had a great conversation about that. So to your point, I think individuals could have even had years of depression and might not even realize it, and then do not see a light at the end of the tunnel and feel there's no way out. So y'all talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, I just going off that point. So I just feel like Nick, of all suicidal people, a lot of people with depression and mental health issues, they don't understand, and I really didn't even understand until recently, that there are so many different options available to better your mental health. So, some people take medications, and the first medication they take, they're great for a couple of years. Maybe they're great forever. Some people take a medication, and maybe that medication isn't good for them. And they don't know that there's 10 other options of medications that can maybe help them. And after seeing that first one not go well or not work for them, they kind of lose hope. So I think that just passing on the education to people that there are so many different options available can really help them see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yesterday, one of my coworkers, I work as a waiter, she works in a mental hospital, and I just found this out last week. And I was talking to her and I was saying, hey, do you know if there's any way we can, help mental hospitals directly, help patients and stuff? And we were getting into a conversation. And she told me that there was a man there that she was assisting, and they tried so many things on this man. He was severely depressed. They have some tests that you have to do where you count money, and he couldn't even count numbers because his brain was so fogged with severe depression. And they tried many different medications. Not a lot of things worked. And eventually they went to, I think it's called ECT therapy. I'm not really sure. It's not really used widely often, but it is one of the many options that people have when trying to better their mental health. And just that one option, since he through it, went through all these different medications and stuff, that one option actually ended up working. And a month later, she said she saw a completely different person after he went through that type of therapy, and he got really better. So I think letting people know these positive outcomes, we always talk about the negative, we always talk about the suicides, but if we talk about the positives of people actually getting more healthy after opening up about their mental health, then it can also show more people the light at the end of the tunnel.
I think that is such a good point, and you're exactly right. We tend to focus on the negative from the negative perspective. And, you know, I like to tell people there's always hope. There is always hope, and there's always help. And part of what we want to talk about in speaking out is that that's what's going to help facilitate that help. When you don't speak out, it's like you're cutting off support, whether you are the family member or whether you are the person considering that. So, Sean, talk to us a little bit more about Nick. I want to know more about Nick and the life he lived, and just where you feel like he began to walk this negative road. You know, y'all as friends were just right there with him. I really want people to get a picture of Nick.
Absolutely. So Nick was truly a beautiful human being, and we all knew him since elementary school. James and Michael Savoli knew him in high school, and like we all just became so close knit with Nick, and everybody knew him. He was one of the most friendliest people that you could encounter, and really his mental health started to have a decline in college, and it kind of stemmed from a lot of just overthinking. He didn't know where his future was going. He thought about his future way too much, what he wanted to study in college, and just living up to these expectations that he didn't live up to. And it just kind of all started snowballing, and it built up, and he just couldn't handle it anymore. He just became, we knew he was depressed. We knew he wasn't hanging out with us as much anymore, and it just started getting worse and worse and worse. And that's when it came to the point where he took his life. And it was just very sad for everybody, because I don't just say this because we're having a foundation for him, but Nick was really a spectacular kid, and we all loved him so much. And I know his family loved him so much, and he knew he had people in his life that supported him, but he couldn't see a way out. And that's just what happens with suicidal thoughts and depression. You really don't see the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, but
Right.
that's really important to advocate the need for these. We have the resources, and we have the people willing to help you through these struggles, and people really need to know that.
Absolutely. You know, talking about just when things really began to go even more downhill at college brings up kind of our second point of what you guys believe is just a lack of mental health support, specifically for the male population. And when I saw that in the notes, I had to pause for a second, and I'm like, wonder why that is. So tell us more about that and why you feel that way.
Absolutely. So suicide is actually the most common cause of death for the male population, for adult males. And I think that just kind of stems from the past a little bit, because I think it's always been like this whole machismo aspect where like men can't really talk about their feelings, and they're supposed to be the man of the house and not really open up and portray emotions and cry. But these are all valid emotions that we should be feeling every day and should be expressing. And that's why I think that mental health has become such a serious topic within the male community, because people just feel that they can't talk about their problems and what's going on inside their head. And that's not the case today. I think it's completely now.
Well, and to that point, I mean, males are known as leaders of the household. That's biblical. Men are supposed to set that example. And so I feel like there's this pressure there, and probably a little bit of this fear to, oh, I've got to be this leader. There's a certain stereotype that's placed upon me. I can't let people know that I'm feeling that. So I have a question for all three of you. And do you, as a male, as white males, because the numbers are just huge with white males, you know, what are some specific things? What are some pressure? I don't want you to get too personal. I'm not asking for that, but what are just everyday pressures you see? And then what are some things that we can do specifically for each other and to help break this down? It just baffles my mind. I think that's why I'm struggling with what even words to say.
I could butt in here a little bit. I just think that overall for men, especially men in college and younger men, there's a lot of pressure on us, like you said, to lead and to be, you know, a macho man who does not talk about their feelings, when that has completely changed. And now, you know, it should be empowering to feel all those emotions and feel all those feelings. I think that personally, I think that the number one reason for pressure is thinking too far into the future, kind of trying to plan out, you know, where am I going to be in 30 years? Am I going to have, you know, am I going to be the best person I can be? Am I going to be nothing? Am I going to be the best? Whatever it is, those thoughts are always unhealthy. And there's no reason to think that far into the future. We only have the next 10 minutes in front of us. So personally, I think that the biggest issue is just looking too far into the future and putting unreasonable expectations on yourself. From what I've seen, I am friends with a bunch of college males and females as well. And now that we're becoming seniors and we're about to graduate, so many people I see are stressed out and pressured with, you know, am I going to get that job that I want out of college? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And those are reasonable pressures, but we need to let each other know and understand that none of those things matter. The only things that do matter are the next 24 hours, and all we can do is take it a day at a time. So I just think that, you know, one step at a time is the best way to take those pressures into account.
Yeah, that's so true. And to your point, that's all we really have anyway.
Exactly.
Get so caught up in the future and what about the what ifs, you know, what if this and what
Exactly.
land that perfect job, what if my degree doesn't do me any good, what if I can't pay the bills, what if
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
All you need is food in your system.
Could I butt in too in this?
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So I think another big pressure is that kids, especially in college, are studying topics or just doing things within college or that don't make them happy, and they're doing it for other people. They're not doing what they fully love because they're scared to go into something that has a high volatility rate that just may not work out in the future, but they don't take that first step and try, so they'll go for the safety option. I know kids have done that. I was also considering doing that, but ultimately that just doesn't make you happy, and that adds a way new level of stress for the long term and also the short term as well. But my biggest advice with that is, even no matter how big the step is, I would just take it full head on, take the leap of faith, because you never know what the outcome's going to be. Even if it's a negative outcome, you still learn from those experiences, and you take the positive signs out of that, and you grow as a person. So I feel like that's a huge pressure that college students, both male and female, have within this new era.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that. So speaking of college campuses, and this just came to my mind. I wasn't necessarily thinking about talking about this earlier, but from your guys' perspective, and I know you've been on different campuses, what's the level of grief support? Now that I'm trying to call any one university or organization out, that's not my intent here. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why I'm asking in a second. Do you feel like we've got some work to do in this? And we are going to talk about school systems and the support, but just grief support in general on university campuses, particularly, you know, I think of kids, young adults who are miles and miles and miles away from home. Not every kid goes to a local, you know, university. And if a friend, suicide or otherwise friend passes away, do we have some work to do on these college campuses for offering support to college kids?
I could butt in here. I think that there's definitely some work that could be done. I can speak from a personal example. So after Nika passed, I immediately went home to kind of grieve with my friends, my family, and all the people that knew him. And I thought that grieving process was extremely beneficial to me personally. But like you said, some people are thousands, hundreds of miles away, and they don't have the ability to do that. My school personally, they reached out to me. They gave me phone calls and emails and said, if you need to talk to anyone, we'd really love to talk to you. You know, if you have any problems with your classes, we can email your professors and let them know. So that was very helpful. I did talk to the counselors at school about it for a short period of time. I already did most of my grieving at home, like I said, but I was very glad to know that that resource was available. I think that the grieving grieving support might need a little bit of help on college campuses, but more so than that, I think that helping, and this goes into our third topic, but helping, mental health crises that happen on college campuses, I think that needs a lot more work, because things happen at home and the counselors can help you grieve, but if something happens at college, it's very hard to deal with, and often campuses don't deal with it in the right way.
Right.
So let's say someone has a mental health crisis at school and does something completely out of character. Often it's the first reaction of the public safety officers or the campus officers or whatever the situation is to just bring that person to a general hospital and hook them up and they don't really know what's going on, when oftentimes that isn't the best option. So I think that completely needs to be restructured. Maybe having an individual plan for individual students could be a good way to go, but I think that, helping for mental health crises is very important.
Yeah, that's catch it in that state versus it becoming dealing with grief.
Yeah.
I bring that up because my own daughter, we walked through death in our family. Our young niece, in fact, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary in
I'm so sorry about that.
days. And my daughter was at college, a couple of 100 miles away, but she was still away. And she came home, for a week. But this has become, since the death of my niece and what we've walked through as a family, I've become much more heightened, I guess, in awareness to the support. And I'm so glad, again, that we're even having, and my niece's was not related to mental health issues. She was not quite 8 years old when she passed. But it just, so my daughter ended up doing a very, very extensive project on grief awareness and support and all of that on college campuses. And so it just, like I said, I hadn't planned on sharing that, but I think it's very fitting. So I want to move on to, while we are on the subject, to talk about having that support in schools. Before we do, I want to take just a second and thank Michelle Savoli for joining, and David 𝗙𝗏𝗘𝗘𝗏.
That's my family right there.
Yeah, so thank you both. Michelle says good morning. Got to put my glasses on. It's inspiring what you're doing to bring light to this very important topic. And then David says, hi guys, thanks for doing this. So thank you both for watching and for commenting. And I see we do have several other folks who have joined. So show us some love by dropping a comment and let us know that you're here. So thanks again for that. So let's move on to talk about what are some of the things to address mental health that can be done in our school systems. And anybody who wants to jump in, I mean, whoever wants to address that.
So I think the need for better mental health services in our school systems, it starts with our youth, and just like talking to our elementary schools and just even like our middle schools and high schools, just to implement better knowledge about mental health. into our curriculums. Like we have health class where we learn about the body and we learn about all these things, but we don't really touch upon the mind, and we don't really learn about various psychological processes, and we don't learn about mental health. And kids should be able to get that knowledge to understand like how to talk to a classmate about their mental health and how to deal with their own mental health problems themselves. And that's why I think it starts with the schools, and schools should be providing these services for us. We've been talking to a couple of schools, and like we're in the works with setting up some more talks with them just to talk about what we can do to just give kids better knowledge on the topic, and just getting them to understand, to open up, and to feel comfortable opening up to their classmates, their teachers, their friends, their family members. And it's just so important just to start this in our schools.
That's so true. The earlier that we start having those conversations and we instill in these young kids that it is okay to talk about it, the fewer problems we have on down the line. I can't remember which one of you in your bio, Michael, it might have been you, about, erasing and eradicating this stigma. And again, it goes back to, we keep saying it over and over and over, speak up, talk about it. It's okay, right? What else, guys?
Sure.
Anybody else on that?
Yeah, I have an example from when I was younger. So, like Sean said, we definitely think it's really important to, in elementary schools and even younger, and just for young kids to understand that their mental health is something to be taken care of as well, like their bodies. Because when we get to college, those things are already ingrained in you. So if we don't think it's okay, then why are we going to think, when we're younger, why are we going to think it's okay when we're older? I have an example from when I was in elementary school. I remember we went in for an assembly, and it was a father who talked about his son who committed suicide. And it was talked about all year as one of like the saddest assemblies we could witness. And it was very sad. A lot of the kids were crying. And this specific assembly, and I know many assemblies at the time, like 10 years ago, they were about cyberbullying in accordance with suicide. So they were about how kids were being very mean and kind of pushed suicidal thoughts and depression onto others. Whereas nowadays, that really isn't the case. And most of the suicides come from just depression that has nothing to do with cyberbullying. So, it doesn't have to be an external factor that causes your depression or suicidal thoughts. It could really just be your brain chemistry that's off. And I think that we just need to let people know that, sometimes these things happen. It's just like having an external injury, and that, we go to a doctor and we try, and eventually it's going to get better.
Absolutely. Michael, anything to add to that?
Well, actually, I have like a similar-ish type of experience back when I was a kid. Back when I was a kid, at least for me, I went to a couple different schools, but when I was at least in kindergarten, my parents told me when I was older that I had sensory issues where I would just, for some reason, the way I would react to certain things in the outside world wasn't really, like, I would say, like, normal compared to everyone else in school. So people would just, like, the other kids would just shun me out. The teachers themselves would actually shun me out as well. Looking back at it now, if that were to happen in today's day and age and I was their boss, I think that would be an immediate firing, because you can't just do that to a kid. What I kind of took it, and I positively grew from it, and that's why I'm where I am right now. But I feel like if that were to happen today, and I wouldn't put it past anything that it still does happen today, I think there has to be some reform there where teachers have to step up. They don't have to really they shouldn't go up to the kids and ask them certain questions, but I feel like they should go to the parents, see if they can give them some type of outlet, become a source to help the children out, so they don't have to go through something like I did, right? Just most of my middle school, kindergarten career, I guess, lack for a better term, I just was shunned, put up, cast away on the side, and I just had to think of myself.
And that stuff sticks with you. It really does. And sometimes we don't realize until well into our adulthood how much so it affects our psyche and some of our behaviors. And sometimes, of course, some of that stuff never comes out. but it goes right back to that willingness to talk about it so that it can come up and help us get healthier, just have better health because of it. So Jordan LaBelle, y'all got those names up in Jersey, you know, that us Southern girls have to just take our time to say to make sure I say it right. So Jordan says, good morning. I think it is so important to talk about all this. Thank you for doing this. Jason, man, those Savoli's are showing up this morning. Jason says, great job, boys. Keep spreading the word and opening up discussions on this hard topic. And then there's Michelle again. It's also important to turn to faith in times of crisis to help in managing mental health. I completely agree, Michelle. That's so incredibly important. Guys, I want to transition to what folks can do specifically to help the foundation. You know, I've mentioned a couple times you guys are in Jersey, but that doesn't matter. We've got the website there. Folks can help spread awareness all over globally, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter where you're physically located, but what are some immediate needs and some things that you think, you know, people can do to help you continue your mission?
I can chime in here. So we have our website in the bottom. It's nnmhf.org. Obviously, donating is something that you can always do to help us. But more important than that is really just reaching out, helping us spread the message, and helping us come up with new ideas. So, for example, like you did, we reached out to you, we connected with you over Instagram, and now we're having this live stream. That is so beneficial to our mission. We really appreciate you doing that. Anything like that is really more beneficial to a small donation. All of our donations are going directly to mental health resources, 100% of them. So those are great as well. We are using all of that money to try to set up these programs like we've been talking about in schools. We think that's really important. Also try to help people out that are, you know, seeing psychiatrists, seeing therapists, help them out with their co-pays. We're trying to set that up as well. But really the most beneficial thing that you can do to help our foundation is to reach out and just tell us, hey, you know, this is something that we've been noticing. Can you help us in this area? Or, hey, I have an idea for you. Any of that stuff is really the most crucial to our foundation, and we really appreciate that.
I love that. And, you know, y'all are some busy guys, and the fact that you've started this, I know it kind of takes an army, right, to pull it all off. You've got all the different departments, if you will, that goes into that, from the finances to the public relations to the actual conversations that you're having with people about mental health. You're talking about, you know, going into the schools. And so it's a lot. And to Michelle's point, just good prayers and thoughts for you guys too, as you continue to walk this journey and continue this foundation. Anything else? I'm going to make our view up a little bit where we're kind of all, there we go. Anybody else want to share anything on that?
I just want to encourage people just to have an everyday conversation about mental health. You know, just talk to your friends about it, talk to your family members about it. Don't feel ashamed to talk about it, and never feel that your thoughts are invalid, because all of our thoughts are valid, no matter how small it is. Just talk about it, have a conversation about it. And that's like really our mission, just to get people to want and feel comfortable talking about their feelings.
Absolutely. Julia says she's proud of you guys. And Ace says, what a good bunch of men. Y'all got a lot of great support this morning. Jordan has a question. Do you have any advice to people who are nervous to talk about their mental health?
Personally, my advice for that would be to just to like do their own research online, because you can have conversations with people without even talking to them by just, you know, looking online and seeing conversations that other people have had. You know, the internet is huge, and there's some good things, there's some bad things, but it really is a great resource to see, you know, what other people have been saying and what other people have been talking about. So I think that's a good first starting step. And then I think going farther from there, just having conversations with those who you really care about, who you really trust and really can be honest with, that is a good way to start opening up. And then just, you know, realizing that it's not it's not fully who you are. You can have a mental illness and go on with your regular life. Some days you'll have good days, some days you'll have bad days. An example I like to bring up is Kevin Love, who's a professional basketball player in the NBA. I think last year, 2 years ago, he randomly left a game out of nowhere. He was on the bench and he just left and went into the locker room. And people were very confused by that. In the beginning, people were kind of mocking him, saying, why? Like we talked about the lack of support from the male population. People were saying, why is he leaving his team like that? Why is he, abandoning them? And he was having a mental health crisis right there on the court. And it took Kevin Love a lot of strength and courage to open up about it. But he did, and he talked about his mental health struggles. And ever since then, he's gotten so much support. And, it doesn't define who he is. He's Kevin Love. He's a basketball player. He struggles with mental health like so many other people in this world. So, just understanding that you're not alone is, I think, the first step.
Fabulous advice. Yeah. Guys, what else? Anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap it up? We've covered a lot.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. I'll just close it out by saying, if anyone listening wants to, reach out to our foundation, our Instagram handle is Nnmhf Foundation. You can reach out about anything at all. You can say, hey, I want to collaborate with the project. I have an idea. We try our best to answer everybody and to do everything. And, we want new ideas. So anything at all, just help us help everyone.
Yeah,
DM. We'll reach out.
Oh,
sorry, what were you saying, Michael?
We just talked at the same time. That's my bad. You go. That's my bad.
No, I was just saying, if you feel like you have no one to talk to, feel free to reach out to us. We're open to have any kind of conversation about literally anything, because we're always here for everybody.
Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback off of that. Just all it takes is a DM. All it takes is an email. Right to our accounts. One of us is gonna respond, and that's all it takes is the first step. That goes to say with anything in life, all it takes is that first step. So the best advice I can give from this whole talk, if you guys, whoever's watching a lot of this right now, take that first step with anything you want to do. Make sure that you're checking yourself. It's all about self-love at the end of the day. That's what makes
So
you
true. Sometimes that first step is the hardest, but once you take it. So Ace has chimed back in and wants to know, in 10 years from now, where do you want to be with the foundation? A little bit of on the spot thinking about the future there. Uh-oh, we lost Michael.
I don't know where Michael went, but I think in 10 years for the foundation, we really just want to have made an impact. So right now, we're talking to some elementary schools and trying to get some programs in. We're very young. We started around a year ago, maybe even less than that. So we're taking our baby steps. But I think in 10 years, if we've made an impact, if we've successfully implemented programs into schools that have helped people and inspired other people to do the same thing, I think that's important as well. Then it's been a massive success in my eyes.
I would agree. That's a good one. All right. Anything else before we close it out?
Thank you so much.
This has been an awesome experience, and we're so grateful for you reaching out to us and doing this for us.
Thank you for giving us a platform. Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. And like I told Sean in going back and forth in email over the last several days, this is not a one and done. I'm here to support you guys. So as you get new ideas, if it's a video you want me to share, if it's a post, we're following each other, and I'm going to continue across the many miles, 1,000+ miles, whatever it is. I'm going to continue to be an advocate for this subject and for you guys. And so you have an open invitation to ping me and say, let's do another broadcast. Can you share this? Can we do that? Just know that. So we have a comment from someone whose name I can't see, probably because of the StreamYard thing. I'll be able to see after it's done. But Great job, boys. So proud of all of you. We need to get more info for men and mental health. It's harder to identify in males. Girls are easier to identify. And then Jordan lastly says, thank you guys so much. Keep working hard. So again, and Michelle says, thank you. Great job. So thank you again. Wow, y'all have got the support. We appreciate that so much. So with that, thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys again for joining. And I do ask for everyone that's watching, please share this. Invite your friends and family in your sphere of influence to catch the replay and to continue to share, because we want to continue to bring awareness. And Michael, it looks like you've got something to show there.
Oh yeah, just you can see that.
Oh, I like that. I love that.
Better together.
Yes, I love that. That is so true. It takes all of us working together. Thank you for showing that. Well, in final closing, as I always ask for everyone watching, that is, if you are a nonprofit leader or you know of a nonprofit leader who would like to do just this, just get the word out, get on here and talk about it. That's what Southern Inspirations is here for, is to help spread awareness for nonprofits for the many, many important topics around the globe. So with that, everyone have a blessed, safe, and healthy weekend. Guys, don't go anywhere once we end. I want to get a screenshot of us, so just hang on. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for watching.